Let me get him where I fit in, homie. Let me get him where I fit in, homie. Let me get him where I fit in, homie. Let me get him where I fit in, homie. Who am I but a Dre Mac? Came into the game just to spit facts. Into the space that I'm in. They call me Bobby Drake cause I'm cold with the pen. I find no diamonds but I still shine. You can dig me cause my boy's mine. My tracks flame like a Damu. The hardest part on my tongue. Thinking is a warm glue. I'ma throw with a gas leak. Camouflage in the mist, but you smell me. One spark, then I bet you I'ma blow up. The feel my name around, get super, then you go dumb. No rest for the weary. A versus thinking in his man, but you can't see me. You rather drink, they gon' pull up, but took a knife through the game, homie. Let me get him where I fit in, homie. Let me get him where I fit in, homie. Let me get him where I fit in, homie. Let me get him where I fit in, homie. I came to eat at the a la carte. Got stripped of a bear, call me brainstorm. Then I come together like a Voltron. Then I poured all the planks, you use Decepticons. Fake rappers to retreat like Cobra. 80s they can float, they like. Up in the storage and I'm man. Up, down, then I'm cheap. You a beast, man. I take a beat in. Ninja Turtle rap, Turtle Clans with the feed.
What's up?
You can never stop me, cause I'm a guy.
What is going on, everybody? This is your man Dre Mac coming to you right now with an impromptu video. I want to go over this reaction video from New Rock Stars, talk about Black Panther news. Are they actually talking recast T'Challa in this video? Now, I am going to react to this video. There's some information in here. I've seen a good majority of it, so this is not like the first time I'm watching it, but there's some information that I want to do commentary on that I had to stop the video so I could be able to talk about it. But, you know, hopefully you guys are happy. Hope you guys are healthy. Shout out to my man Heavy Gan over at the Heavy Gan channel. But you already know what it is. The real question is, all right. Let's get the party started quickly. But in this video, it was some interesting information that I heard that I've actually never heard before when Nate Moore is talking in this video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this up. I'm gonna react to it. I want to get, you know, make sure you guys in the comment section tell me what you guys think about this. Since I have already watched this and everything, well, I haven't watched all of it. I watched a good majority of it. So Eric Voss is going to be talking on here. You know, like I said, I'm gonna say what I think on here, and let's just go. Let's get into it. This is New Rock Stars talking about the Black Panther 3 announcement breakdown, everything we know. Again, make sure you like and share, subscribe to New Rock Stars. One of the big channels that I fool with. I would recommend them all the time. I like Eric Voss. I've been watching Eric and Philip Molina back in the day. You know what I mean? So I've been a big fan of theirs for a long time. So let's get into this video. Again, Black Panther 3 announcement breakdown, and let's get into it.
Welcome back to New Rock Stars. I'm Eric Voss, and perhaps the most secreted film in Marvel Studios' slate that has been confirmed to be coming is now officially Black Panther 3. Ryan Coogler is returning to write and direct this film, confirmed in the past month by Denzel Washington, who will be playing some role in this film. And this third film will be produced by outgoing longtime Marvel executive Nate Moore. In this video, I'm going
to... everybody knows how I feel. If you've been watching this channel long enough, you know how I feel about Nate Moore. What I am curious is that, are they going to go back to the past? Is Denzel going to be playing Bashanga? Or are we going to be looking at, you know, because there's no reason, to me, there's no reason to have Denzel in this film if you're not going to have Black Panther 100 BC, 1 million BC, or some ancient character. I want to see the King of the Dead storyline. I don't know if Ryan's going to do that. I don't think Nate Moore is going to do that. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on that later. That's what I would like. You know what I mean? Along with a recast. Because like I said, you do King of the Dead. That's when you could bring in someone like the one brother that was up for Kane. It'll come to me in a minute. But that's the reason why I would like for them to do that story. But let's just keep going. And let's kind of get into the meat of this.
Explain everything we now know about this project, when it is likely to release on the Marvel calendar in the next few years, and what unresolved plot points were important to Ryan Coogler as we revisit the world of Wakanda in the MCU. And if you want to support new rock stars doing videos like this in the future, we have a channel membership option where you can hit the join button over by the subscribe button, and for a small amount per month.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna try to skip past
support us and get access to some cool custom.
Just want to know for me.
Was happening, and Ryan Coogler was writing a role for him.
No. For me, it's about the filmmaker, especially at this point in my career. I'm only interested in working with the best. I don't know how many more films I'm going to make. It's probably not that many. I want to do things I haven't done. I played Othello at 22. I'm about to play Othello at 70. After that, I'm playing Hannibal. After that, I've been talking with Steve McQueen about a film. After that, Ryan Coogler is writing a part for me in the next Black Panther. After that, I'm going to do the film Othello. After that, I'm going to do King Lear. After that, I'm going to retire.
This was our first acknowledgement that Black Panther 3 was even happening. From what we could tell, Ryan Coogler had moved on to other projects like Sinners at Warner Brothers,
And I kind of want to see Sinners and see what that is about. What I would like for Ryan to give, because there's nothing wrong with the Creed movies that he has written and directed, like them. I just want this film not to be centered on. I want it to be a Black Panther, not necessarily a one-to-one adaptation. Don't get me wrong. I know that's not you. It is possible. Don't act like it's not possible. But Nate Moore won't let that be possible. They want to tell the story they want to tell. But to me personally, I would like to have a Black Panther story that is an adaptation from the comics that would make sense. And for me, that adaptation of Black Panther 3 will be the King of the Dead storyline. Chadwick has been gone now almost by the time this movie comes out, it'll be 7 years without T'Challa the Black Panther. Before y'all go in my comment section talking crazy, you don't want to see a woman be Black Panther. Shuri is not the main character of the Black Panther comic. Sorry to tell you, they did the death of Superman. They didn't make Supergirl the new the titular character of the Superman comics because Superman died in the comics. They didn't make Steel. They didn't make Eradicator. They didn't make Cyborg Superman. They didn't make Superboy. Superman returned. So why can't T'Challa? T'Challa's never died in the comics, y'all. Stop coming to my comment section talking about they had a secret wedding. And no, they didn't. He never died in the comics. He never had a son named Toussaint. This is a contradictory of what he was saying in the ancestral plane. What is all rubbish. It's trash. Start this thing all the way over again. Or recast T'Challa. It'll be like 7 or 8 years without the main character. Hell, Warner Brothers didn't even do that with the Joker. They didn't wait 8 years to bring back another Joker.
We had speculated in the past might have thrown a wrench in one of the versions of Marvel Studios' plans for the Blade film, as Sinners is a period piece about vampires in Louisiana starring Michael B. Jordan in 2 different roles. So we weren't really sure what Denzel Washington was really talking about. But then a month later on Variety's Award Circuit podcast, Denzel Washington reaffirmed it. And he said that he apologized to Ryan Coogler for announcing it prematurely.
No, I call him to apologize. That's right. That's what I call him. I said, I'm sorry, man. He's like, nah, man, it's all good. And I FaceTimed. And right there next to him was his lady. They were editing. They were,
hanging out. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, we should also acknowledge that including Denzel Washington in a future Black Panther film is very important because Chadwick Boseman once declared there's no Black Panther without Denzel. And what he meant by that is the whole existence and success of the 2018 Black Panther film probably would not have happened without Denzel Washington's many contributions to the film industry. And
I agree with that, but also remember that Denzel Washington was a mentor to Chadwick, and I believe he helped pay for like his tuition or his scholarship to go to school. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of big brother, little brother, you know what I'm saying, that was going on with, you know, Denzel and Chadwick Boseman. So, not saying that his contribution to the film industry wouldn't be where they, Chadwick would. Denzel walked so Chadwick could run. I'm not denying that. Just like Sidney Poitier and other people that came before Denzel. What I'm also saying is that Denzel was a big brother to Chadwick. You know what I mean? And that has to be acknowledged. So maybe that is it. You know, maybe he wants to try something new before he retires. I don't know. He just got baptized, so we don't know what the Lord put on his heart.
to just acting as a craft. Until recently, Marvel Studios has stayed silent, but then last week it was announced that longtime Marvel Studios executive Nate Moore is departing the studio. Nate Moore was the executive attached to the first two Black Panther films, as well as Eternals, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Captain America: Brave New World. And statements from Kevin Feige and Nate Moore himself confirmed that Moore would go on to executive produce Black Panther 3, despite not being at the studio. Kevin Feige said, "Nate is a fantastic executive and colleague, as well as a wonderful friend to all of us here at Marvel Studios. He has been a core member of our team since 2010, and his influence will continue to reverberate in our storytelling. Although we'll miss him a great deal, we look forward to watching what he does next, while also having the good fortune of working with him in a new way on our next Black Panther movie." And Nate Moore,
like, personally, I don't have a problem with Nate Moore, the person. I have a problem with the way that Nate Moore approached the Black Panther franchise by saying this is a movie we want. Of course, you're going to have civil liberties on movies, but not so much that you change the entirety of the actual character. And, you know, you take away certain things and you put it to another character that is important to that character. Excuse me. T'Challa's intelligence. T'Challa's savvy. Like, number one, T'Challa's intelligence rivals Mr. Fantastic. Y'all not going to take the intelligent Mr. Fantastic and put it in the thing. So why did they feel like it was important to take away the intelligence of T'Challa just to give it to Shuri? You know, if you're going to give intelligence to Shuri, make sure that T'Challa is just as smart, if not smarter, because he is. He's one of the biggest think tanks in all of Marvel Comics. To take that away from him is taking an integral part away from him and an integral part of his character. Let me keep going.
I've learned from my time at Marvel Studios. I feel lucky to have worked with a group of people who love filmmaking and storytelling as much as my Marvel colleagues and the cast and crew of our films, but I couldn't be more excited to apply my experience and passion for film toward theatrical movies in all genres, including returning to the world of Wakanda for Black Panther 3. And this quote clarifies that the Wakanda of Black Panther 3 will be the same Wakanda that we currently know of in the MCU. That Wakanda, we pointed out, might get some updates in Captain America: Brave New World, since Kevin Feige has clarified that the new version of Captain America's suit that he fights Red Hulk with was designed by the Wakandans, and Wakanda will get further explored in the animated series Eyes of Wakanda, a 4-episode event that is coming in August of 2025. Remember, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever ended with a post-credit scene that introduced Toussaint, aka T'Challa Jr., the late T'Challa's son with Nakia and Haiti, who could be a focal character for Black Panther 3. Though I think we all have a lot of questions of how that would tie in with whatever character Denzel Washington is playing. Look at your...
And again, the problem that I had, besides the rhetoric that this is a new T'Challa, no, it's not. That's not a recast. Again, T'Challa Jr. cannot be his father. He cannot have the same adventures as his father. He is a new character with his own adventures. And that kid was like 5. You know what I'm saying? 5 or 6 in that Wakanda Forever movie. To age him up in some timey-wimey bull crap just to be able to push him as a new Black Panther is so stupid. It would be dumb. It would be absolutely stupid because he's not T'Challa. He's T'Challa Jr. He's Toussaint. You know what I mean? Toussaint needs his own thing to do his own adventures. Because again, recast T'Challa. That would have been an easier thing to do instead of giving this a substitute. This is the problem that I had with Nate Moore as a decision maker. I don't have no problem with him as a person. I don't like the decisions that he made with Black Panther. It's a simple fact is that everybody can get recast except the King of Wakanda. And then you're going to give him a bastard child because the kid, they all know the ritual in Wakanda is to be married. They talked about that whole entire time. I did not want to be queen. That's Nakia. Even though I still don't understand why they made Malice, because that's her name in the comments. The main love interest for T'Challa in this movie. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Where there was other characters that you could have used. Fine. But to keep saying that they didn't. He was a bastard child. And then to hide him in Haiti away from everybody else because they know that if he would have married Nakia, it would have been a ceremony. That's the way Wakandans are in the comics. We see that with the marriage of Storm. So to take all of that away, to be able to focus on a baby daddy story, because that's what it is. He lost his mother. We're talking about T'Challa. T'Challa end up in the movie. He's gone. His mama's gone. The kid is living in Haiti after T'Challa scolded and yelled in the ancestral plane to his father about not bringing Killmonger home. And then you do the same thing to his bastard child. Like, make it make sense. That is bad storytelling. And again, I don't have a problem with Nate Moore, the person. I have a problem with the take on the character. It is trash. You know what I mean? It literally is trash. Let me keep going.
Sidebar right now. How much do you think the algorithm is showing you what it thinks you want to see versus what's actually out there to be seen? The news is no different. Is that can influence the coverage you read. Without ground news, you'd never know. Ground.News Studios came out of his oversight of the Phase 2 era writers program. According to the book, MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios by Joanna Robinson, Dave Gonzalez, and Gavin Edwards. In recent years, Nate Moore himself has become more of a topic of discussion among the fandom in the way the studio hires writers who didn't necessarily grow up as comic book diehards, which some unfairly took out of context.
This is where I have a problem with Nate Moore. And I'm gonna let Eric read it, and then I'm gonna go for it.
Saying that the studio didn't want their filmmakers to read the comics, that has never been true. Moore's statements that stirred this up came in November 2022, following the release of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, when he was speaking on Matt Bellamy's podcast, The Town.
It's funny when these movies come out and they go through a press cycle. Every filmmaker all of a sudden is a Marvel Comics super fan, and they were playing with the comics when they were 6 years old, and they had all the action figures, and they knew every little thing there was to know about Marvel Comics. That's bullshit. I mean, most of these filmmakers were not comics super fans. So is there some kind of a Marvel boot camp or something that you do to get them just into this world and knowing all the things that they
not really, to be honest.
Or is it just oversight? Or you guys are just there all the time?
We're there. I mean, I was that kid who, and I am still that guy who has long boxes in his garage that my wife wishes I would get rid of. So like, I do know a lot of this stuff, and the stuff I don't know, or I didn't know, I certainly know now. I think
I'm gonna stop that, because if he knew that, then he would have got with Ryan Coogler. If he knew, this is just me personally, and because I don't know this man from a bag of grapes, so I don't know. But based on the way that I'm just going off of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the way the film is constructed, you could have made a complete one-on-one adaptation of the Black Panther film. You had Ulysses Claw in there, who was introduced in the Avengers Age of Ultron. You could have still had him go over to Wakanda to steal vibranium, because obviously there was vibranium at Age of Ultron, because that's where Ultron got the vibranium from. He goes in, tries to get more vibranium, bam, his arm gets blown off, whatever. He kills it, and he is the one to kill T'Chaka, because T'Chaka is the Uncle Ben, you know what I mean, of the Black Panther comic season. He was just not Black Panther. He was a Black Panther, but he was not the way he was portrayed in Black Panther. Not like that. You know what I mean? There was not enough story, but in the original comics, which was written by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, well, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby penciled it in the Fantastic Four number 52 and 53. We all know that Ulysses Claw and a couple other people went to go try to go look for the vibranium and still, and they end up killing his father. And young T'Challa, you know, preteen T'Challa went ham trying to stop Claw. And then he dedicated his life to learning, understanding all. Remember, there was no Shuri in the original comics. Shuri didn't come to Hudlin's run. That's when Shuri got introduced in 2005. So if we look at this long history before 2005, I believe 1968, 1967, 68, all the way into 2000, before Shuri got there, Black Panther was by himself. So he had to learn and train and all of that. I mean, he had his uncle there, which still was a crime within itself, not having him there because he was the Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? After his father, after T'Chaka died, you know what I mean? So there's your lineage right there that they totally ignored. And again, you could have told that story in Black Panther 1. You could have shown him rising up, learning, studying, doing what he got to do. Even though, yes, he was introduced in Captain America Civil War, you could have went the Deadpool route, show him, you know, what's going on currently, but go to those flashbacks of him going to the major universities in America, learning, MIT, you know what I'm saying, Georgia Tech or whatever. You know what I'm saying, being a chemist, a mechanist, everything. You know what I mean? That makes him who he is. You could have done that, but they refused to do that. And again, that would have been really good storytelling. Killmonger, you could have still had Killmonger there, but make him an exiled Wakandan. Make him a Wakandan that felt like he had the power. He could be able to do certain things. And within that, he was exiled. That's why he wanted to come back, because he felt like he could be able to rule Wakanda. And you could have had this Game of Thrones style type of movie. Yes. Do I like social commentary? Yes, I do. You know what I mean? Was so portion of that social commentary very important, very niche to the character of Killmonger? Yes. But you didn't have to even tell that story, because the story of Black Panther and this kingship and how do I, you know, I've been, you know, in this position for X amount of time, and I'm learning how to be a king, and all of that would have been a really great story. That would have been just as great of a story. But again, Nate Moore, they wanted to tell the story that they wanted to tell. Not mad at that. But when you deviate from the character so much and he becomes a little unrecognizable, again, that's where we got a problem. So when he's talking about all the comics he collected and stuff like that, why would you allow just you and Ryan to just create a story? For why? Especially a baby daddy story. And I'm saying that for a reason, because that's the way we're looked at. This is the way you think of your audience.
Probably more fans than you give them credit for, but certainly not with the same depth that they've described. Like Joe did collect comics, so did Ryan Coogler, to be honest.
But some of these filmmakers, it's a stretch, but maybe that's what works.
Well, no, and I honestly, I think it does. And it's, you know, you talk about the process. For me, one thing I think is interesting, and specifically for writers, I would say, a lot of times we're pitched writers who love Marvel. And to me, that's always a red flag, because I go, oh, I don't want you to already have a pre-existing idea of what it is because you grew up with issue 15 and that's what you want to recreate.
You don't want fan fiction.
Exactly. I want somebody.
I think that's where I have a problem with when he said, I don't want fan fiction, but we don't want, but us as the moviegoer, us as the consumer, we want a good film, and we know it's not going to be a one-to-one, but we don't want to deviate from the character. It's almost like when Joss Whedon's version of the Justice League movie, where Batman is telling jokes or Batman is being funny. Batman's not funny. There's nothing funny about, you leave that to The Flash. But when it comes to Batman, bro, there ain't nothing funny about that. He ain't trying to crack no joke. He not trying to do no one-liners, no zingers, no nothing. It takes away from the character, because remember, we are the ones, the comic book nerds, the ones who collect these comics and collect the figures and all of that. We are the ones If it wasn't for us, there would be no comic book genre when it comes to these movies. So yes, you still have to cater to your audience while also converting people who are just love films to watching these movies, because it still has to be a great film. So when you deviate to try to make art, it's almost like if I have some toys, and then you decide I don't like the head of that toy, I'm gonna take the head off. It's He-Man. I'm gonna put Skeletor's head on He-Man. It now and he's gonna be the Prince of Grayskull. That's not what he is, or making Skeletor so evil that he's unrecognizable. He doesn't have his one-liners, his jokes, all the He-Man fans. You see what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe this is just coming from a comic book fan, and I don't want fan fiction either. I want a great film, but I also don't want, again, to reiterate, to deviate so far away from the character that he's unrecognizable.
I mean, who's hard on material, who goes, what is this? I think there's a movie here, but maybe we should be looking at it in this way. And I think, again, the best example of that for me was Marcus and McFeely, who weren't comic guys coming up, but we're like, wait, well, Captain America, this seems a bit weird. What if we kind of looked at it in this way? And they weren't married to anything. Nothing was, there was nothing sacrosanct. And I think that's important.
I totally disagree with that. They recreated Captain America #1 in that movie. They still did a World War I piece, but except with the Red Skull, you still have elements, and the movie was good. Yes, is it a recreation of Captain America #1 or a Captain America comic? No, but the essence of who Captain America is still in that movie. There was nothing that deviated from Captain America's character, or the character of the Red Skull, the character of Bucky Barnes. Of course, he wasn't a little kid, you know what I mean, like he is in the early comics, you know what I mean? But he was still, that's Captain America.
Important to be able to go, look, the source material is great and I love it, and comics work in the medium that they were built in, but that's not a direct one-to-one translation to the best version of the movie. And sometimes it takes someone who's out of this culture to come in and go, hey, I know you think it should be this, but maybe it should be this other thing. I mean,
but then just look at exactly what happened to Ant-Man. Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Quantumania, where you got Kane the Conqueror was supposed to be the big bad, and they allowed Kane to lose to giant ants and to Ant-Man, to Paul Rudd's Ant-Man and the Wasp. You see what I mean? It's like, I think when you go to that approach, and even Taika Waititi didn't care with Thor: Love and Thunder, he just didn't even care about that movie for real. And you want somebody, I'm sorry, I had to disagree with Namor. You want somebody who cares about the character. James Gunn's a prime. You see, James Gunn is not the example of this, because James Gunn actually is a comic book fan. He never mentioned James Gunn, and James Gunn successfully made the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. They're not, $500, $600, $400 million movies. These are movies that progressively start going 700 million, 800 million, $1 billion franchise. And then look what he's done over at Warner Brothers. Of course, we're still waiting what the Superman movie is going to be like and all of that. But look at the progression, right? So I completely disagree with him. And as much as I like Thor: Love and Thunder, it did deviate from the character. Now the character's way entirely too gone. He's too goofy. All of that. It gets to the point where now he's annoying. So I totally disagree with this. Totally disagree with this assessment. Let's keep going.
Hulk is a great example of that too, right? Hey, I know Thor traditionally is a bit stiff. It's a bit Shakespearean. What if you tweaked it? What if you tweaked the tone completely? And I think that's
and that was his pitch.
Yeah. I mean, the tone of Ragnarok is all Taika, because he wasn't married to Thor on the page. Who I mean, I haven't read every Thor book. I've read a lot. I couldn't tell you a Thor run that is tonally anything like Ragnarok. Like, that movie sort of sits on its own because of the filmmaker.
I think what Nate Moore said here made a lot of sense. Kevin Feige did not grow up reading comics. Kevin Feige grew up a nerd of Star Trek and movies like Richard Donner's Superman. And then, as Lauren Schuler Donner's assistant on the 2000 X-Men film, Feige strategically looked around and realized no one working on this film was reading comics. So, in his 20s, he suddenly now gave himself a crash course and read everything Marvel he could get his hands on. And
So let me ask you guys in the comment section, do you guys who's watching this, do you think that that's the reason why there's so many comic book movies that have failed? Because none of these people know anything about the character. I believe that. I believe a lot of these comic book movies that came out, you know, and we're talking about years, you know what I mean, that came out and that were flops because they didn't understand the actual source material or what us as the fans would like to see on film. These are supposed to be adaptations. You know what I mean? That's just like if Harry Potter was totally different than the actual books. Tonally, the whole entire night. Oh, you know, Harry's a little stiff in the comics. Let's make him goofy. Let's make him tell some one-liners, some jokes. It wouldn't make any sense. J.K. Rowling would have been rolling over in her grave even though she ain't dead. They would have killed her right on the spot to see her character get abused like that.
And that's what positioned himself as the comic guru on the set, giving him an associate producer credit because Hugh Jackman would sneak over to Feige's office to read comics when Bryan Singer banned comics from the set. And that's how everyone at Marvel Studios and Nate Moore approached this process. You make the best movie you can make, and we will make sure the film best reflects what comic readers want. I wanted to include all this insight and Nate Moore's history with the studio to help contextualize what we can expect from Black Panther 3, because Nate Moore's departure and his expected return for Black Panther 3 is the main reason we know Black Panther 3 is actually happening, and not just, you know, a possible idea that Ryan Coogler might have floated to Denzel Washington at an event at some point. When we look ahead at Marvel Studios' release schedule, 2025 is probably too soon for a Black Panther follow-up film to come out. In 2026, we know Avengers Doomsday is coming out in the May 2026 slot. Spider-Man 4, Marvel Studios' partnership with Sony, is probably coming out in July 2026. Avengers Secret Wars is coming in May 2027. So if Marvel Studios wants this next Black Panther film to come out in the next 2 years, that leaves the three most likely options of a release date based on the past press releases that listed untitled Marvel throughout specific dates in 2026 are either February 13th, 2026, November 6th, 2026, or February 12th, 2027. Why?
Don't put the black movie in the month of that's a strategic cash grab. Let's put the black-led film during Black History Month because Negroes will come out and watch it. Okay. off my soapbox.
Why does it matter which of these dates this movie would come out? Well, February 13th, 2026 would be before Avengers Doomsday. November 2026 and February 2027 would be between Doomsday and Secret Wars. And late 2027 would be after Secret Wars. So if we're talking about Doomsday, we are talking about a Marvel crossover event that will open the doors to Marvel actors playing different roles. Robert Downey Jr.
Still disappointed that they didn't finish Kang Dynasty. This is still disappointing at the end of the day.
Will now be playing Dr. Doom. Chris Evans could be playing some undisclosed role, and therefore you can argue audiences might be more open to just recasting across the board. So Doomsday and Secret Wars can, and I would say should, consider the option of recasting T'Challa. In the past, as we were learning of Ryan Coogler's plans for Black Panther 2, I, like many of you, wasn't really sure how I felt about the studio even moving forward with the sequel after Chadwick Boseman's tragic death in August 2020. I know for sure I did not want to see the character of T'Challa die on screen in the movie. And now looking back,
what did they do? This is exactly what I'm talking about. They did the exact thing that he did not want to happen. They did the film that they wanted to do, which was exploit the death of Chadwick Boseman for personal gain. And I don't care if you like this movie or not. That's bullcrap. They should have never done that. They should have never exploited the death of Chadwick Boseman for financial gain. Had us as moviegoers paying for a ticket, crying in the movie because they took away the character because the actor died. And then they turned around, and this is Nate Moore, and this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. That Nate Moore gets all giddy because Harrison Ford is replacing William Hurt, who died of cancer, who didn't get a tribute. He didn't get a thank you. You don't see him nowhere in Marvel's bios of thank yous or here's a tribute to William Hurt and everything he contributed to the role of Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. But we got a Thunderbolts movie coming out, and we got a Captain America: Brave New World that he's heading. You understand what? Do y'all get it? Do y'all honestly get it? Like, that's why I have a problem with Nate Moore. I don't have a problem with Nate Moore, the person. That's why I got a problem, because he's talking at the side. He's talking words coming out of his mouth, and it sounds like it's also coming out of his ass too. Let me keep going.
On Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I'm both impressed at what Ryan Coogler was able to pull off with an affecting story about grief from Shuri's perspective, but also feeling like I had to grieve Boseman all over again with T'Challa's funeral scene. And a funeral scene that, we should note, was unattended by the Avengers. I know it's kind of weird. I just refuse to let go of that. But now, as we are moving forward, I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs a T'Challa in a similar way that it needs a Tony Stark, but I would say on an even deeper level for underrepresented groups who saw so much in the character of T'Challa.
Eric.
This universe just feels incomplete in the multiversal conflicts of Avengers Doomsday.
Boy, you got me up in here like a Baptist preacher, Eric.
And Avengers Secret Wars present the perfect opportunity to introduce a whole new slate of actors and characters that this universe needs, including a new actor as T'Challa from another universe, which would allow the character to live on
whatever
while
you
not erasing anything Chadwick Boseman had done in the 616 continuity. Actually, when we talked about this Denzel Washington story on the break room in November, I recalled that Ryan Coogler's original script for Black Panther 2 before Boseman passed away was to focus on a father-son story of T'Challa having been an absent father during the 5 years of the blip and then returning to existence after Avengers Endgame to find a son who grew up not knowing him. Coogler talks about this original script to the New York Times saying,
I'm telling you, I do not like. What does that have to do with kingship? Like, seriously, if you read this is why I got a problem with the Black Panther, with Ryan Coogler and Nate Moore, with the Black Panther franchise. What does that have to do with kingship? Him being an absentee father. Dude, do you know how many 72% of us grew up in a single parent home? Most of the majority of that, oh God, I'm trying not to get so emotional because I want to be logical in my thinking when I say this. I know that 72% of us grew up in a single parent home. I know a lot of us didn't grow up without a father or a mother, right? But to continue to perpetuate that stereotype, because a lot of us did grow up with a mother and a father. Why couldn't he have a mother and a father together and they grow up in kingship? Why couldn't he marry Nakia instead of having a secret child and all of that? Like, it's so disrespectful, man. It is legitimately to me, my intelligence. Because when I go to these films, I'm looking for escapism. I'm looking to see positive images on there so we can have something to strive for. Every time that I see this, it pisses me off because, yes, that's some people's reality, but some of those people in that reality is striving for that dream, not to be repeated on what your reality is all the time. This is like us that grew up in the hood. How many hood movies was you going to make? We understand one or two to get a point across, but when you're doing it to perpetuate the stereotype for money and for gain, then I have a problem with that because it's not teaching me anything. It's just showing me how we're glorifying this actual life, which leads to death and destruction, leads to my people being in jail or being in the ground. This leads to more people thinking, man, you know how many fathers is not in these kids' life? Black people always having a kid in their life. Even though it wouldn't have been his fault because he was dusted. But think about I'm looking at the optics. And then he comes back. Think about it like this. At the end of Infinity War, he's up there with his sister, his mother, and him. Where's the baby? Did you want to go hide him because you wanted to hide him after you just yelled at your own father in the ancestral plane about Killmonger being hidden? Like, make it make sense.
it was going to be a father-son story from the perspective of a father, because the first movie had been a father-son story from the perspective of the sons. In the script, T'Challa was a dad who had this forced 5-year absence from his son's life. The first scene was an animated sequence. You hear Nakia talking to Toussaint. She says, "Tell me what you know about your father." You realize that he doesn't know his dad was the Black Panther. He's never met him. And Nakia is remarried to a Haitian dude. Then we cut to reality, and it's the night that everybody comes back from the blip. You see T'Challa meet the kid for the first time. Then it cuts ahead 3 years, and he's essentially co-parenting. We had some crazy scenes in there.
This is not
our code name for the movie.
This is not a Black Panther movie. What is this? Like, I'm sorry, you could have made this independently and called it something else. Make that an independent film. This is not what I want from a Black Panther film. What does this have to do with any story from Black Panther? This is a social commentary story, not a Black Panther story. This is giving fuel to these idiots that call everything woke. Literally.
It was summer break, and the movie was about a summer that the kid spends with his dad. For his 8th birthday, they do a ritual where they go out into the bush and they have to live off the land. But something happens, and T'Challa has to go save the world with his son on his hip. That was the movie. Clearly, Ryan Coogler felt strongly that there was a story to tell about absent fathers and what happens when they suddenly re-enter the lives of the sons they left behind.
Oh my God. I do not like this because they do this for Black people. This is what they do to Black people, man. Y'all don't see it.
Imagine that story is still pretty important to Ryan Coogler. Maybe Coogler wants to try to tell the story just in a different way by casting someone like Denzel Washington in a patriarchal role with his real life son, John David Washington. And John David Washington could be like our new T'Challa going forward after a multiversal realignment. I know that's probably some ambitious, maybe unrealistic fan casting. I just think John David Washington is an excellent actor and could be one great candidate to consider. But comment down below with your thoughts and how you think they should handle this. Another reminder that we have a membership option for people who can and are willing to.
All right, and that is the end of the video. Again, I'm very passionate about this because I'm passionate about the way that we are portrayed on film. I'm passionate about that. And Eldis Hodge playing in Cross is a prime example of what you can do in this particular genre, in this particular situation, when you have loss. Because he had to deal with loss, but he also had to use his brain to be able to solve crimes and do all of that. It's just it's too much of like, look, Black people, look what we got. Absentee father. Y'all know about that. How many absentee father? That should not be. I don't want that in my Black Panther film. I want my Black Panther film to be no different than Spider-Man, Batman, and all of that. Yes, there has to be a theme, but does that have to be the theme for the Black movie? Oh, Jesus, Lord have mercy.
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up. Wrap that shit up, B.
Like I said, I'm very passionate about this, but tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. Again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell notification so you can never, ever, ever miss one of my videos again. Until next time, I'll holler at you guys later. Peace and Vampire. Merry Christmas to all. It's all a good night. Where's my outro at? Let's get up out of here. Wait a minute. You're telling me the video's over? What? Huh. Okay, I guess so. If you have came to this portion of the video, thank you so very much for sticking to the end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that little bell notification so you never miss one of my videos. And if you really want to, you don't got to, go ahead and follow the social media links that's down below. Until next time, I'll let you guys later. Peace and Bob Hire, y'all. Y'all take care of yourself.